Hello and welcome to another episode of Transformational Blueprints, where we try to put a dent in the large number of transformation programs that fail. Hosted by me, Mario Michaels, founder and director of Synaxia Group. On this series, we will bring you unique insights drawn from first-hand experience from some of the most high-profile architecture and transformation leaders across the globe. Topics told in order to share knowledge, experiences and ideas to inspire, innovate and give back to the architecture community. So grab a coffee, sit back and relax. Welcome everybody. Today we'll be talking to Shana Dacus about gender diversity in architecture. Shana is an accomplished senior architect with over 12 years experience and a strong foundation in software development. She has successfully led and delivered complex, high-quality consulting and architecture projects, including systems of critical national importance. Sharna has also played a pivotal role in architecting one of the largest cloud transformations and migrations in Europe, and designed an award-winning SIAM solution for a major electricity system operator. A passionate advocate for diversity and inclusion in technology, Shana has been instrumental in establishing a driving internal communities within the organization she's worked for. She's dedicated to attracting, retaining and promoting women in tech. And alongside that, she's also the founder of ArchitectHer. For those of you that don't know ArchitectHer, it's a community-led platform devoted to supporting, inspiring and motivating women in technology architecture. So Shana, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Mario.
So good place to start. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a bit of background, how you got to where you are, and then that should hopefully provide some context for the listeners.
Yeah, so I started my career in BT. So one of the first industry jobs I had leaving university was working for a large, telecommunications company in their professional services department. So I was working developing applications, software applications using Java, C++, Python, and building applications and testing frameworks for them and their clients. I then moved, and that was a graduate scheme. So that was really interesting and really fun at the time, because at the time BT invested a lot in their graduate schemes, and it was really enjoyable for anybody that was participating in it.
Okay.
And then I moved to Capgemini to do pretty much the same thing. So doing development, I was really keen on continuing to build my development and software development skills. Yep. I joined Capgemini as a lead software engineer, doing pretty much the same thing, developing applications, predominantly in Java, helping them with their own clients to build and work with industry leaders. That was anything from accessibility driven applications to working on POCs, working within the public sector. Over the years within Capgemini, this year is my 9th year with Capgemini. So I've been there quite a little while, longer than I initially planned, to tell you the truth. And during that time, I have moved from, more software development focus to being more architecture and design focus. And that was pretty much by accident. I didn't intentionally have a plan for it, but when I did, fall into it as such, I really, really enjoyed it and haven't really looked back since.
Okay, very good. So you've probably got really great insight into, obviously, Capgemini being one of the biggest consultancies in the world, but also the businesses you work with will probably, or I imagine, have large architecture teams. What really makes, in your opinion, a great architect in today's world? Which are not necessarily who are the people that stand out when you're either engaged on a program of work, a project with an end client, and you think they're good? Here are the reasons why.
Yes. I think people that can flex and adapt in different environments, because I think as an architect, you tend to be in a lot of different rooms understanding and going through solution from different points of view. So you might be having a discussion with the developers and having to go into the details of what that, solution could potentially look like for them. And then you're talking to the business, the product owners, product managers. Then you're talking to senior stakeholders about the risk, the conflicts, the project roadmap, how fast it's going to be delivered, the operations of it, is it going to be supported? How is it going to run once it's live? You're having all those different types of conversation, but you have to flex and adapt to those environments and change your context quite quickly. Yep. So I think a good architect has those skills and are able to just really, present themselves in those environments quite easily, not so afraid of knowing that they don't know it all, being quite aware that they know what they know and other people have deeper expertise in other areas and they're comfortable with that and can drive leadership in that way. So they know how to lean on other people and empower others to feel as though they're just as important to be in that room as they are. And they know that they might not know everything, but they can flex and adapt their skills and, deliver really well in those environments.
Yeah, good luck assessing that in an interview, though, right? so
yes.
Obviously, my role from a talent perspective, I speak to a lot of architects throughout the weeks and months and years and so on. And some architects I speak to, kind of turn their nose up at consultancies for whatever reason, whether that's the travel or whatever it may be. You've had an excellent career to date within consultancies. What are the benefits of working in a consultancy in your mind that you've seen worked well for you and helped you develop your sort of standpoint, I suppose?
Yeah. So for me, it's the variety, right? So variety is the flavor of life, and I like a lot of flavor. But I enjoy being able to go into different client environments, work on a solution, and then, move into another environment, work on something totally different. So you're always learning, adapting from one industry to another. You're learning something new about one industry. For example, I worked in the energy industry for a little bit, and I learned so much about, what it takes to get electricity into homes and what a solution for an energy industry kind of looks like there. So you get to learn a lot, get a lot of different variety. You get to work with people that have speciality in different areas that you may not have even really considered. And it helps to grow your own horizon. You thought that the world was this, maybe you've been this limited based on the experiences you've had, but having to engage with other people from different industries, different walk of life, different mindsets, really help to broaden your horizon and give you that confidence as well to know that you can operate in these different domains. So it also gives you confidence, variety and confidence to know that you can move quite easily between domains, and not be so scared of everything.
It's a good bedding, isn't it, for people who have aspirations to become an architect, to get that, as you say, that breadth of domains, industries, projects, size of businesses, etc. That does make sense. Also, you're coming up to nearly a decade in consultancy. What's the one thing you wish somebody had told you on day one or when you were first starting out?
That I'd be here this long? Really maybe to be more open to change. Because I think when I first joined consultancy, I was really, afraid of change. Like I wanted to stick to what I know. I wanted to stick to development. I wanted to stick to C++ and Python. But then working in consultancy, because you have to change and flex and adapt your skills so much, being open to change has really, allowed me to move into roles with more ease and not be so afraid of not knowing everything, or just knowing within myself that I know all that I know and other people don't know what I know, if you see what I mean. So I've got the knowledge that can take me as far as I need to go, and I can learn and develop my skills. So it would be to not be so afraid of changes, either change in projects, change in industries, change with the people that you're working with, and be more open to it.
Okay, makes sense. And we're going to move on to something that's, something you're deeply passionate about, and that's gender diversity within architecture. Now, you set up ArchitectHer, as I mentioned in the introduction. Tell us a little bit about ArchitectHer and what inspired you to make this or to start this.
Yeah, so ArchitectHer is a community platform for women in architecture. And this really originated from my own experiences of being, a woman in architecture, and sometimes being in environments where I am the only. And that could be the only for a number of reasons. I'm the only woman, I'm the only Black woman, I'm the only person that is a mother, or I'm the only person that has these kind of, subcategories. But being the only in a particular space can be quite, lonely. So the aim of ArchitectHer is to create a space for women in architecture, so we can, one, come together, two, learn and grow from each other, three, inspire others to say, yes, this domain is actually quite massive. There's so many roles in architecture. It's not just technology architecture. There's the business, security, there's platform, there's operations. It's a massive, and people are creating titles for architects every single day. So you're architecting different kinds of solution. So to inspire and share that, there is space for us here, and also to just have a tribe, somebody that you can lean on, community that you can reach out to when, things get tough, when you want to be able to, have that sense of understanding. You have a really big technical presentation and you just want to review it with somebody from, a technical point of view. They might not know the ins and outs of what's going on, but you want to be able to say, does this sound okay without going into the presentation, so that you can have a bit more confidence. So it's having that community where we can develop, learn from each other, share, and empower more women to consider a path into architecture, because it doesn't have as much women in it as there is men at the moment. So making that more accessible to women as well.
Oh, the statistics are horrific, and considering, in my opinion, architecture is more soft skills based than most areas of technology, which it should be more gender diverse based on that, given education 20-30 years ago. But it's not. Other than business architecture, you're looking at single figures percentage of women within architecture. So it's disgusting in some respects. How big is the community at the moment, and how how's it growing? Yeah.
For me, it's massive. In my head, it's massive, right? Because it's taken leaps and bounds, already gone way beyond my initial imagination of, a small community. So at the moment, we're about 700 plus strong followers on LinkedIn, and our membership is growing. Maybe we're nearly 300 now. People signed up to be members of our community. And we do host in-person events and looking to host online events as well. We've got an event coming up in October. So we are growing, and we're growing really fast, which is overwhelming and exciting all at the same time. But it just really goes to show that this is a community that's really needed, and it's helping to inspire those that may not have considered architecture as a career path, and also helps to make it more tangible for others that want to go into it, because now you have people you can meet. You can say, what, I know this person, she is a technical architect, a security architect. I'm thinking of going into this role. At least I know what I know what she's about. I know how she plays in this role. I've gotten some experience from her. So then I can really see myself in this role. I know what it potentially looks like. And then I can reach out to these community members to then, get a fuller understanding of what to expect. So we're growing.
Yeah, good. And that's phenomenal, because I know it's not been going very long in considering the where you've reached in terms of numbers. Why do you believe gender representation in IT architecture is still so low?
That's a big question. I think there are multiple different factors, I think, that plays into it. And for me personally, the times where I'm sitting at home questioning it all, is this an industry for me? On those days, I think it's really come down to, people that have people that have your back in certain situation and has helped to propel you. Are you in an environment that helps to motivate and empower you to move forward? If you feel that you're not in those environments, you're more likely to step away or take a step back and think, you know what, I'm going to walk away from this. But whereas if you're in an environment that is more supportive, that has people, cheering for you, telling you, you can do this, you've got the skills, you've got the attribute, more people would want to move into it. So I think it's coming down to environment, culture, the fact that if you see tangible people that are operating that not just looks like you, that have something that you can relate to.
Yeah.
Whether that's, a personality trait, what's going on in their home life, that might be similar to yours, that make you think, if they can do it, then I can do it too. But also just the sheer seeing the representation of more women in the industry helps to solidify others to believe that, yes, I can operate and excel in this as well.
Yeah, and I suppose businesses have got a big challenge ahead of them because we're at a point where the talent pool probably isn't there, but yet businesses have got objectives to achieve. And it's where do you go if the talent's not there, if that gender diverse talent just isn't there with the experience? You've got two options really. You either say we're going to build our own talent pool of future architects, but that's going to take 5 to 6 years. Let's identify the people, let's go out to the wider business, let's put them on a scheme of some sort, etc., etc. Or you say we're going to go and poach the female architects that we want, and we're going to make it so appealing that they want to join us, that they join us. But more often than not, that doesn't necessarily work because the infrastructure isn't there, firstly, to attract. And then when you do attract, it's, well, we said all this stuff at interview,
culture, and
it's not here. The culture,
exactly.
So you can't just go and hire one senior architect to say we are a diverse architecture team and expect that person to create the culture. The culture comes from it. So it's in a real imbalance at the moment. It's really, and that is a systemic issue, I suppose. And what can businesses do to address it? And I'm not expecting a silver bullet here from you, but what practical steps have you seen or that businesses can take to improve gender representation in architecture roles?
Yeah, so I think you've touched on some good points there. Yeah, I think there are multiple areas that need to be looked into, but what I have experienced personally and what's worked for me and others that I've seen is, showcasing the women in these roles within the organization. So doing more to make it tangibly within reach, to make it clear that this is a role that you can obtain. Being clear on your promotion path and the competencies needed to get to that particular role. So if you're outlining that, to be an architect, you need to have A, B, and C, be very clear on it and make sure that the framework or the progression or the promotion path that you have in place enables that, so that people can have the confidence to go for those roles because it's clear and on paper what it takes to be at this level. And then also the culture. So being in environments where, you're standing behind what you're preaching. So if your organization has clear policies or a culture framework that they showcase in around, a brilliant working environment for women where it's utopia and it's amazing and everybody's supported, make sure that your leaders and your people working in that organization really live up to that also. And I know sometimes it's a hard bar, but what's really worked and what I've seen worked in my career is, when the leaders do stand up and, stomp out microaggressions or bad behaviors, or in environments where it's been challenging, but they've really put their foot down, they've called things out to make it easier, they've set the tone of what is to be expected in these kind of environments, so others can feel more comfortable and that they can, really be their true selves and not having to hide certain aspects or feel as though they don't belong. because somebody is not addressing them properly, or doing small little microaggressions that may be small in somebody who is saying it as, but if you're not calling it out and you're not really showing proactiveness in this regard, people might just start to internalize it, and then it doesn't help the culture.
And I suppose, and we'll come on to this in a moment, that mentor and that manager doesn't have to be of the same gender or the same beliefs. Or, your mentor was a white, stale, middle-aged male, wasn't he? Which is, and
a lot of my mentors,
not stale, but you know what I mean. So, but I suppose he had the vision and he saw something in you, and he drove that, and we'll come on to that, what that meant for you in your career and how he helped it. But I suppose, from his perspective, what skills and qualities do you think he saw in you, or should junior architects or aspiring architects think, right, if I want to become an architect, this is what I need to start developing? Because I suppose if females, software engineers, cloud engineers, data engineers, whatever it may be, are starting to think, right, I'm really good at this, I'm really good at that, and actually that aligns itself to an architect, but they don't know what an architect is, then that talent pool at the top of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, whichever way you want to sort of flip it around, can start filling up, I suppose. So what skills and qualities, other than adaptability and having that change mindset, which you mentioned earlier, do you look for when you're looking for good junior architects?
Probably people that are, a little bit fearless. You give them a project that is a little bit outside of their comfort zone, and they just try their best to execute it anyway. And that is something that they're going to have to work hard at, try to understand what's going on. But they really put themselves out there to investigate, try solve the solution. And you can see where, they're taking small steps to, feel the fear and do it anyway. If you've asked them to, they're an engineer in a particular environment, and you've asked them, oh, you've done this amazing work on this great solution, can you go and present it in this forum? And maybe they're not used to presenting in such a forum to these level of people, and they just get up and do it. And they might come to you and ask you, is this this presentation, does it, suit the format that we need? Is what I'm going to say here correct, blah, blah, blah. But they really put themselves out there. So probably looking for people that are not too shy in putting themselves out there, running towards the challenge rather than away from it, and realizing that, these challenges are opportunities to grow and not opportunities for failure. It's more setting you up for something that is even greater.
Yep. Okay. And then how do they develop those skills then?
How do they develop the skills? Giving them space to practice it. So if you are working with junior architects, give them the space to practice their negotiation, their influencing skills, their presentation skills, how to manage conflict, and lead by example. I've been in some tough situations where people really challenge you on meetings, and even in my own experience, when I was really early on in my career, I could have let my emotions get the best of me and reacted in that moment. But even over time, I have learned, I've not mastered, learned how to better control my emotions in those situations and not react, right away. Maybe take a pause, or let it settle and respond the next day, and lead in that way. So lead by example, so that others that are coming up can understand, okay, this is the best way to lead in this kind of situation. So then they have it imprinted in their mind, actually, I know how to handle this situation because I've seen Shana handled it in this way. I've seen an example in that way. So I'm more prepared to go into this meeting because I have, at least a familiarity of how to operate within it.
And the hiring process is one often where I see there being a lot of challenges and processes need to change within organizations. What can businesses do during the hiring process, again, in your opinion, to be more inclusive and attract diverse pool of candidates?
I think at different stages in my career, I may have answered differently, but where I am now in this era of my life would be to showcase, the benefits packages that you offer as an organization. I'm a mom of two, and I want some kind of flexibility in my career or my aspirations. So showing, what medical you have, it's the boring stuff, that makes it exciting for other people to think, actually, I'll be supported in this way. They have medical care, they have a good maternity leave, they have a good paternity leave. I'm thinking of starting a family. This is what the organization can support or is offering. So that's, in the stage of life I'm in now, that's great. Maybe if I was earlier on in my career, it would have been, showcasing more of the culture, what kind of certifications, to help me grow and expand my knowledge and expertise. What kind of support frameworks do I have in place? What kind of support is in place if I want to go for a promotion? So is it just, you put your hand up and say, I want to go for a promotion, or is it your promotion path is really clear and you have different support structures in place? You have, a promotion mentor or buddy as such that can go through your promotion panel presentation with you. Then that help you be more confident in that. So I think at different, it sounds like loads of different things, but for women in the industry, and especially for myself, I like to feel as though, I'm going into an organization where I am being supported at different aspects, whether that's, my technical knowledge, what's going on in my own personal life, and my own career aspirations. So being able to showcase that, yes, you're not just going to limit me here, you're going to always try to encourage me to strive for more, and showcase that in your hiring as well. So whether that's on, the job applications, or even showcasing people in those promotion panels that have those diverse set of qualities or intersections going on in their lives.
And I suppose by the different types of biases, I suppose it's reducing them in an effective way. And ultimately, let's not steer away from the fact that it's still about hiring the best person for the job. Exactly. No female architect wants to get the job because they're a female. They want to get the job because they're the best person for the job. And I think that's a really, really important point to make, because businesses can get lost in the exercise that they're trying to do, or the objectives that they're trying to achieve, and it's not necessarily always the best thing. Now, you briefly touched on promotion. You've had a promotion every 18 months to 2 years throughout your whole career. How did you achieve this, consistent, I suppose, upward trajectory along the years?
I would say that I'm quite ambitious. So I do like to strive for more, whether that's, technically or professionally, even what's personally in my life. I want to, always continue to build and grow. How I have achieved it, again, it just depends on how you've looked at it in my career. So in my earlier career, it was a lot of support from, supporters within my organization, either putting me forward for a promotion, say, Shana, go for this promotion. You're already excelling in this role. I think you'd be great. Go for it. And just putting it out there and saying, go for it. And once somebody tells me to go for it, I'm going to go for it. I'm not going to shy away too much. I just take it and go. And then putting my own self forward. Once I start to be in a role where I feel as though I am getting really great feedback, I'm in the mindset where I can wing it. I can go into a presentation, and deliver without too much, build up on myself, having to do too much research or too much this or too much that. But I can feel as though I can just walk into this, and, I don't have to do too much of the build up work to get it executed. Then, I know that I'm comfortable in going for that promotion and being quite bold in putting myself forward. So one of the last promotion I had was straight after returning back from maternity leave, and I was really, really, determined within myself coming back, because I had a mindset that I wanted to showcase that I can, excel now that I'm a mother. And I put myself forward to go on the development schemes to showcase more of my talent and be put in front of, the senior leaders who can see what aspects I'm bringing, and put myself out there more. So I did more activities to put myself out there more. And then I put myself forward for my own promotion. And, within 6 months of returning from maternity leave, I got that promotion. And that was because of my own self-drive and determination to do so. I could have come back from maternity leave and said, well, I'm just going to ride it out. But I know that I want more. I want to continue to strive. And I was really, really comfortable in my previous grade, in my previous role. And I knew that I could excel and do more.
And that's great, by the way. But I suppose one of the challenges, and this links to sort of research as well, let's look at the job application process. There's a statistic out there that, if a bloke sees an advert and they are 60%, they've got 60% of the attributes on the person's specification, they'll apply. Whereas a female needs to have 100%. And I think that links into ambition in some respects and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Now, clearly, you're a great example of that. But for somebody that is maybe a bit more reserved or considered and wants to make sure that they can, would you say there's anything that sort of person can do to create some indicators to back when they are ready? If that makes sense.
Yeah. So what to look for within yourself to know that you're ready for a promotion?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
So when you start to get really good feedback, from your project, either that's from peers or those more senior, it could be one-liners or, written feedback. Once you start to get those, you can see that you're developing and people are recognizing the work that you're doing, because it's great wanting to go for a promotion, but if other people don't recognize the qualities that you're bringing to a particular situation, you're probably unlikely to get that promotion. So once others start to recognize the skill set and what you're bringing, that's the first indicator. When you start to be in the meetings that your seniors are in, so if you've got a senior manager and they're bringing you into those discussions more, they're asking you to take the lead, and they're saying, you know what, I'm not going to turn up, you do it instead. I've got this else going on, I'm letting you lead on this. That's a great indicator that you're already going above. Your seniors are already asking you to take on more outside of your current competencies or your current grade. And that's a great indicator to show that, yes, you can excel at the next level. And for me, I always come down to when I'm comfortable in winging it. So it's just when I feel as though, I can do this without too much overthinking, because sometimes we overthink a lot.
Yes.
And it might be a new experience. It might be a new environment, and you're overthinking it. But once you start to, not overthink it, you've got a big presentation tomorrow, or you've got to come up with a strategy or a design for X. And you know that, well, I'll leave it for 2 hours. I'll reserve 2 hours in the evening to do that. And that doesn't scare you. You're like, yes, I can knock it out in those 2 hours. Great. Then yes, I'm definitely in my comfort zone now. I am good. I can then start to do things that start to scare me again, because I'm no longer, nervous or scared about what to do or what the expectations are, because now I know it so well. And now I'm in my comfort zone.
So you're comfortable, you want to push yourself, you've seen a promotion there that you can go for. You walk into your boss's office or desk, as it is these days, or Teams call or whatever it is, and you want to have that discussion. How does that look like? How do you approach that discussion? Because you've done it, not necessarily ask for a promotion every time you've got it, but I'm sure you've had those conversations where you feel like you're ready for promotion. how can somebody effectively communicate that without coming across overly ambitious or coming across in a negative way to their hiring or to their manager?
Yeah. I think there's a way you can be overly ambitious. I think there is, ambitions is great, right? So
Yep.
I think for me, I've had the pleasure of working for really large organizations, right? And they have really good structures in place for promotion path and how to achieve a promotion, what the structure is, when the promotion windows are, who to go to for them. And in some cases, if you're doing a panel, if as part of that promotion you have to go for a panel, then you're assigned a promotion body as such. So if the organization have such a structure, then great. You know that at the start of the year, you can click that button or raise your hand or go to your manager and say, you know what, I want to go for promotion. Yeah. And I know that this is the format. I have to do it at the start of the year, at the middle of the year. I need to have all my feedback and my case ready. And towards the end of the year, I know that I have to put in my case and get ready for the promotion panel. So if that structure is in place, fantastic, because it helps you to understand what you need to do. And your manager should also be, help supporting you along the way. And having that conversation with your manager should be easier because then they can, say, well, this is the framework, this is how it works. Yep. If you're in organizations that don't have that kind of structure and that kind of support, it would be more, putting it out there quite early on. Hey, I want to go for this grade. I'm looking to, be promoted. What is it that I not really asking them what you need to do, but these are the skill sets that I think I'm really good at the moment. Is there anything missing? Is there anything you think that, would help me secure that promotion? And get different perspectives as well. Don't just get your managers, because not all the time your manager will be able to, might even be backing you for that promotion. So get different people perspectives. Get somebody that's, 2 or 3 grades above you. Get somebody that's, your peer, somebody that's gone through the promotion process in your organization before. Because again, it comes down to a culture within that organization. And it's really hard to dictate, if you're going to be promoted or not, because different organizations have different cultures. You have to be meeting different, either, for example, one organization I've worked in, you have to do a lot of work in the public domain, showcasing that you're doing a lot of engagement for the organization and, doing a lot of certifications and ticking all your certification boxes. If that's important to that organization, then you have to make sure that you're doing that as well and showcasing that.
And sometimes that promotion doesn't necessarily come internally. It could be an external promotion. And I suppose professional networking and, communities like ArchitectHer, I suppose, but professional networking are great for career advancements. What strategies do you use to build and maintain a valuable sort of network within IT and architecture?
Yeah. So one thing I've learned quite recently, well, not recently, but I've started to adapt more, is just not to burn any bridges, because technology sector is so small. The person that, really hurt your feelings 2 years ago, you thought that you'd never work with again. And, in your eyes, you'd made them out as they're this type of person, could be your biggest supporter, 2 years down the line, and they're helping you to secure X, Y, and Z. But the person, everybody's changing and growing, learning and adapting. So don't be so hard on burning bridges. I would say don't burn any of your bridges. Try to maintain those relationships. If you're attending networking events, is a good one where you can build new contacts. And I'm the kind of person that if somebody, offers me, hey, do you want to have a chat? Yes. If you want to host an event at our space, yes.
Okay.
You want to do a podcast, I might say no.
After this, you might.
But I might say yes, depending on your approach, because then I've grown some kind of connection with you. I understand what you're about. And then you might be more inclined to say yes to things. So don't be so closed off in your opportunities, because those could open you up to more things and allow you to step outside of those comfort zones, to meet new people, to make new connections. Because last year, exactly.
Okay. Loads to go out there. Some really good tips. And yeah, never burn your bridges. You're always one or two people away from your next job. And a lot of people get, recommended jobs and so on and so forth. So yeah, always be on your best
And
behavior.
another one, I would say probably everybody's on their own trajectories, right?
Yeah.
So always remember that your peers are also, going to be the people that are going to be promoting and representing and supporting you. And also the people you've worked with. Everyone's, have some level of ambitions. They're growing into more director CTO roles. And the person you worked with as a junior architect that is now a director may say, yeah, I worked with her as a junior, she's absolutely brilliant. And do get her into our organization, and they might, roll out all the red carpets to try and get you in because of the experience you've had with them and the interactions you've had.
Yeah, absolutely. Some really good advice there for anybody looking to get promoted internally or externally, just to build that network. So we're going to move on to our quick fire questions, if that's okay, because we're coming towards the end. You see a lot of organizations working for consultancies, and specifically Capgemini. What are you seeing is the biggest sort of game changers within technology, within organizations?
Okay, I know AI is the big thing, so I'm not going to say AI so much, but I think it's more pushing towards automation now, in the sense that more and more of our operations can be automated, and the more we automate, the faster we can get towards, achieving the outcomes we're driving towards. So I've seen, over the years, for example, in the path to live, how much automation has played into that, so that we can get to, path to live even faster. In this year, there's been so much work with applications and tools that help you to get your frameworks in place, your documentation in place, to automate all of that, to make execution a lot faster. So definitely more around automation at the moment.
Yes. Okay. Any advice you wished you received early on in your career?
Self-advocacy, I would say. So put myself out there more. So I feel like I did put myself out there in my career to get me where I am today. But there is loads of opportunities that I didn't put myself out there for, that I thought, oh no, I can't do that. So definitely self-advocacy. Know that you can do what you're capable of doing, that you can execute in those kind of environments. Raise your hand for those opportunities. Put yourself forward. Don't always wait to be nominated or selected, and put yourself out there.
Okay. What's the hardest interview question you've ever had?
I've not had, if I've done an interview, I forget it all right away. I don't make it linger too much. Exactly. I just leave that one, leave it to the side. But I did see one recently around, tell us about one of the moments where you got to your aha moment. And I thought that was kind of interesting, because you get to see what the person really went through to get to that moment of gratification, of figuring out what's going wrong or what's going on, and how to solve that problem. So I thought that was a really good question, understanding how they get to that aha moment.
Okay. Specifically from a talent perspective, what's the biggest change you expect to see within IT architecture in the next 5 years?
The biggest change, I think at the moment, from the conferences and networking events that I've been going to, there's been a lot of work in, system thinking, and, how you operate with the culture that you're in the environment, and how to make decisions for that, and understand the constraints of the systems that you're working within. So maybe that. Okay,
fair enough. Well, sadly, Shana, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for an excellent podcast episode, and a really topical one as well. There's pretty much every business I speak to have got gender diversity on their roadmap. So it's really interesting to get the insights into how you progress your career, setting up ArchitectHer. For those of you who haven't heard of ArchitectHer, go and join the community. Go and look at that. It's a really great community for building relationships and that network which we've spoken about. Yeah. Great to chat to you about it all in a lot more detail, Shana. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mario. Cheers.
And that's a wrap. Sadly, we're at the end of another Transformational Blueprints episode. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it and there were plenty of golden nuggets for you to take away. If you're a fan of the show, please do remember to share, like and leave reviews so that more people from our industry get to hear and benefit from these too. Please also follow Synactia Group on LinkedIn to keep up to date with new episodes. Links in the show notes. Join us next time for another episode packed with tips and advice from senior leaders in the technology world.